Shalom. My name is Moray Ishaya Yisrael from the House of Israel in Cincinnati, Ohio, 2330 Kemper Lane, bringing to you in 40 minutes or less. In 40 minutes or less, I will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt the word of Yahweh. Who is this Yahweh? Yahweh is the creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein. Yahweh is the Elohim of our fathers, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yisrael, whom you may know as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yahweh is our judge. Yahweh is our lawgiver. Yahweh is our king, who will save us. Shalom, and praise the mighty Yah. Welcome to another program of 40 minutes or less. In this program lesson 47, we will continue to deal with our series on health. This is the third part of our series, number 3, health part 3, and we will deal with the third most important thing that we need to do to recover our health. At the end of the day, the word health also comes from the Hebrew word shalom, which is peace. And if we want to have health and wellness, we're going to have to learn how to possess peace. Many of our people look for peace or health other places other than the Most High and His Word. And this is why our people, the Creator said, there is no cure. There's no cure for our woes as well as our diseases. Because He knows the only way we're going to be able to get it, we got to get it from Him. Health part 1 was on our thoughts. Health part 2 was on our tongue, our mouth. And health part 3 is about what we listen to. And let's get right into the scriptures, because all these things we're going to prove in 40 minutes or less. Because it don't take 40 minutes, considerably less in most times, to prove the word of Yahweh. And watch what Yahweh says about this listening and how important it is. If you think it's power in the tongue, and the scripture says life and death is in the tongue, well, what do you think is in listening, in hearing? According to the scriptures, watch what it says. We're going to start our reading in the book of Proverbs, the 19th chapter, and we're going to read the 27th verse. And this is what it says. Cease, which means to stop, my son, to hear the instruction that calls it to err from the words of knowledge. In other words, the Almighty wants us to stop listening to things that's causing us to err. We want to get counsel anywhere. We want to get knowledge from all kind of other books, not realizing these are things that may be the cause of the things that we are erring in knowledge for. But even if we hear the right things, even if we hear the right instruction, for some strange reason, we're still not doing. And then we wonder And we're curious about why we don't have peace. And let me show you we're not doing, even though we're hearing the right things. Where did this begin? Well, according to the book of Genesis, the second chapter, watch what this says. I just want you to see this. Talking about health part 3. Listening, hearing. In the book of Genesis, the second chapter, this is what it says in the 9th verse. And out of the ground made Yahweh Elohim to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight, good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The Almighty put this in a garden. And the Almighty gave us the instruction of knowledge of how we're supposed to live amongst these trees. And this is what he said we're supposed to do while we in the garden living amongst these trees. Starting at the 15th verse, and Yahweh Elohim took the man, put him into the garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And Yahweh Elohim commanded the man, saying, this is something he said, this is something that you have to hear. Of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat. You can eat anything you want. Freely as I gave it, freely it is yours to eat. 17th verse, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. And exactly what Yahweh said about this, his instructions that he said about it, surely came to pass. Because we erred the knowledge of instruction. And that's what the proverb said. Cease, my son. Stop from hearing the various things that cause us to err from knowledge. And the truth is, this is something that was given us life. And that's what I wanted to point. See, life is about health. Death is taking your health. And the Almighty said, look, it wasn't the fact that they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is the reason they're dying. The reason they're dying is because they went against the Most High. They went against his instructions. They didn't hear and listen what the Almighty told them. He said, in the day that you eat, those were instructions. You eat from this tree, you're going to die. And they did. And in the scriptures, Israel always had a problem with hearing, listening, to the extent the Almighty said over 5 times in the book of Deuteronomy, Shema Yisrael, Shema Yisrael, Shema Yisrael, which simply means, hear, O Israel. Because he knows how important it is to hear, how important it is to listen. And for some reason, we don't understand that truth and how this is compromising our health, our peace when it comes to the Most High. Watch this. Just want you to see this. In the book of Ecclesiastes, this is what it says in Ecclesiastes 5. We on health part 3. Listening, hearing. And watch what it says. In the book of Ecclesiastes, the 5th chapter, the very first verse, this is what it says. Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of Elohim. So it's giving you instructions on when you go to the house of Elohim what you are to do. And the first thing it tells you is keep your foot and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools. For they consider not that they do evil. They not considering the fact that they up and around talking to everybody, talking to people, while the lesson is going on, while instructions are being taught. They don't even realize. They not even considering that what they doing is evil. Because unless you have circumcised your heart, circumcise your ears to come to the house of Elohim, to listen, to be more ready to hear, then everything else is evil. It's evil what you're doing. And nobody want to consider that. Furthermore, not only that, let me read the second verse. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thy heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim, for Elohim is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore, let thy words be few. We want to debate. We want to strive. We want to argue our points. We want to do all these things, not even realizing that's demonstrating who we really are. That's showing what we're really about. If you ever want to see a man of knowledge, let me show you what a man of knowledge look like. Since we're talking about ceasing to stop from hearing the instruction that causes you to err, let me show you, if you really, really got knowledge, what you should really look like. And you'll find this in the book of Proverbs, the 17th chapter, Proverbs 17. And this is what it says. In the book of Proverbs 17, watch this, the 27th verse, it says, he that have knowledge. In other words, you got knowledge. He that has knowledge spareth his words. And a man of understanding is of an excellent spirit. And to show you what it's talking about, it says, even a fool, when he holdeth his peace, is counted wise. And he that shutteth his lips is esteemed a man of understanding. In other words, I know you want to debate your cause. I know you want to bring out your wisdom and knowledge. I'm wise too. I got knowledge too. And you want to share with everybody and you want to bring it out. But if you got knowledge, the first thing knowledge should teach you is to spare your words and not to speak a bunch of words. That's number one. And even if you're a fool, you're counted wise when you hold your peace, when you learn to hold your peace. And when you shut your lips, you are esteemed a man of understanding. Why you don't tell me how you feel? Why you don't tell me what you're going through? Why you don't tell me this and say that? Because a man of knowledge don't do that anyway. He don't get you caught up in a bunch of his feelings and his emotions and all that type of stuff and just uncover and discover everything in his heart, in his mind, in his thoughts. No, he don't do that. He spare his words. He keep his foot. That's how you know a fool. Because a fool is known by the multitude of words. And that's not how you want to be. Not if you are seeking health, wellness and peace. Because that's what peace is. That's what it is. Furthermore, watch what the scriptures teach us in the book of Hosea, the 4th chapter. Just want you to see this. We want health, but are we willing to do what it takes to have good health? As I told you before, all through the scriptures is Shema Yisrael. In the book of Hosea, the 4th chapter, the first verse, it just says, hear the word of Yahweh, ye children of Israel. I don't need to read no more of that, because that's our issue. We want to talk more than listen. We're asked a question, and before the question is answered, you still talking. But why even ask the question if you're going to talk over the answer? But in the book of Hosea, the 4th chapter, the 6th verse, this is what it says. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy Elohim, I will also forget thy children. And what is this saying? Knowledge is something that we have to learn to listen to. We have to be taught knowledge. We don't wake up with knowledge. We're not born with knowledge. Knowledge is something somebody have to instruct us on. And the only way that we're able to get it is that we got to learn how to listen to it. Even if the knowledge is not good, we don't have to respond to that. We got to learn how to reject bad knowledge. But no, we just want to talk. Here it is in the book of Hosea, the 6th chapter, still speaking about knowledge. This is what it says in the 6th verse. For I desire mercy and not sacrifice, the knowledge of Elohim more than burnt offerings. See, Yahweh wants us to have the knowledge of Elohim. And for us to get the knowledge of Elohim, number one, we got to know who to get it from. And number two, we got to know how to listen to it. And there's a lot of things the knowledge of Elohim is being told to people, but they're not listening at all. You're not listening to the various truths and the ways and the thoughts and the laws of Yahweh. Just take that time to really, really incline your ear. And I can assure you, when you do that, you'll know that you're getting the truth. But you got to love it, you got to know it. And you got to want to do less talking than more talking. Furthermore, watch what the scriptures say about the greatness, the literal application, the benefits, as well as the demise of hearing. In the book of Proverbs, the 23rd chapter, Proverbs 23, this is what it says. And I'm going to read the 12th verse. It says, apply thy heart unto instruction. Whether you reading it, see the soul, when you're reading it, the soul, the spirit, is really hearing it. And I'm going to prove it to you. And thy ears to the words of knowledge. See, you got to apply, when you want knowledge, now this is all about your listening skills. See, here you can tell yourself, I can tell you, look, count to 3 without using your voice. And then after you count to 3, just say shalom. Start now. And ask yourself, after you did that, did you hear yourself? And everybody would say, yes, they heard themselves. Because in their spirit, in their soul, in their mind, they were talking. And they could hear themselves. They didn't have to use their voice. That's how powerful listening is. And you got to know how to listen. It says in the book of Proverbs 20, and I told you this is about health. In the book of Proverbs 20, talking about health part 3, it's all about your listening skills. In the book of Proverbs, the 20th chapter, watch what it says. There's gold and a multitude of rubies, but the lips of knowledge are a precious jewel. In other words, it made the lips of knowledge more precious than even rubies, even than gold. And a lot of people tell you if they hear gold, if they hear rubies, if they hear riches, oh, how precious and happy they will be. But why don't they feel the same way about the lips of knowledge? I thought you had knowledge, but you seem unhappy. You seem down, you seem low, you seem depressed, and you got knowledge. Why isn't that knowledge yielding precious things to you? Furthermore, and I'm just showing you how listening is all about your ability to have knowledge. The scriptures say wisdom is the principal thing, but with all thy getting, get understanding. In other words, wisdom is the main thing, but what you want to get out of that wisdom is understanding. And why? Because little do people know, in order for you to have the next thing, which is knowledge, knowledge cannot even be applied unless you have understanding first. See, once you begin to hear things, once you listen to things, if you have no understanding, first and foremost, then you'll listen to everything. You'll listen to anything. And our people do. This is why their knowledge, it hasn't served them. Now, what I'm speaking is the knowledge of Elohim, and you think that will serve them, and it will if you listen. Again, talking about health part 3 in the book of Proverbs 18. Now watch what this scripture says. Proverbs 18. And we're going to read the 15th verse. The heart of the prudent, he getteth knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeketh knowledge. In other words, you can't seek knowledge without your ears. You seek knowledge by listening to the various things that's out there that you got to know. And what is more important than knowing and then having the knowledge of Elohim? There's nothing greater than that. The knowledge of Elohim. That is your greatest source of knowledge. And it's the greatest thing that you can possess. The knowledge of Elohim. Also, Proverbs 14. Proverbs 14. And this is what it says. And we're going to read the 7th verse. It says, go from the presence of a foolish man when thou perceivest not in him. the lips of knowledge. In other words, if he ain't talking knowledge, he's a fool. Once you perceive that, why would you sit there and argue with somebody that shows you that they a fool? What you debating for? What you answering their questions for? What you striving with them for? It don't matter. You might as well just shut your mouth and you tell them what I often say is okay. All right, okay, all right. I was taught that a long time ago because a hint to the wise is sufficient. I know the operations of a fool. So, okay, all right. You want to believe? Okay, all right. Let me just leave it alone. And here it is, just to show you how important listening is. And from the lowest of us to the greatest of us, this is a thing that we can't get past. And this couple scriptures left. One is in the book of Numbers 20. And watch what it says. Numbers 20. And it's in the 8th verse. I start at the 7th verse. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying, take the rod, watch these instructions, and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother. Speak ye unto the rock before their eyes, and it shall give forth his water. And thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock. So thou shalt give the congregation and the beast drink. And Moses took the rod from before Yahweh as he commanded him. And Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock. And he said unto them, hear now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? And Moses lifted up his hand. With his rod he smote the rock twice. And the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their beasts also. Of course, if you know this story, you would know that not only did Moshe not follow the instructions of Yahweh, Yahweh said, speak unto the rock, but he hid it. But this was the very thing that caused Moses not to go into the promised land, because he didn't listen. And today, we are Moses. We refuse to listen to instruction. And all we got to do is just listen. Just listen. Not listen and then respond. Not listen and then disagree. Not listen and then strive and fight about it. Not listen and do all these other things. All we got to do is listen. And being able to just listen, being able to just hear and follow the truth is our health, our wellness, and our peace. Until our next lesson, Yahweh love you, and so do I. Shalom.